They said we're remaining faithful to the spirit of the original game. I think that we might have different opinions on what the spirit of the original game is.
I'm sure we do.
Yeah, that's concerning territory as well.
All this new information, all these new details, doesn't make me feel any better.
Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology.
Obviously, Black Flag is peak Assassin's Creed as far as we're concerned here at Hardcore Casual, and we have been nervous about the remake. For a long time, it was rumored, but it was like the worst kept secret in games. I mean, there were leaks all over the place, and then just a few weeks ago, it was finally officially confirmed with the artwork. We got that one artwork with Edward Kenway up on the sails, and we finally got a confirmation that it existed. Then we had two rumors going today. We had a rumor that there was going to be a state of play from Sony PlayStation, which did not end up happening. And then the other rumor was that we were going to get a big trailer drop or release date or something like that on Assassin's Creed today, and that was speculated to be at the state of play. Neither of those things happened. However, we did still get some news regarding this. First of all, we have a confirmation of a release date for Assassin's Creed Black Flag resynced before we get into the concerns and stuff that we have, which they'll get into a little bit here. But the release date has now been confirmed to be July 9th of 2026, which at first the leak that I was hearing was May 19th. But so now we're at July 9th, 2026.
We've talked about this a million times. I'm scared to death about this game, and mainly because of their previous pirate outing, which was the absolute unholy dumpster fire that is Skull and Bones. We just want them to give us what we want, man. Why is that so difficult? Give us a pirate ship, make us the captain, and let us just sail around the ocean blowing shit up, because that's what we want to do. That's what made it so fantastic.
For those that are joining us for the first time, it is a pet peeve on this show, the whole Skull and Bones fiasco and the fact that Ubisoft always learns the wrong lessons. They had a massive, massive surprise hit with Black Flag, and they sent out back whenever they would actually do this, whenever they'd actually request fan feedback, and they asked, hey, this was a big success. We didn't expect this. Would you like more of this, but outside of the Assassin's Creed universe? The answer, of course, was an overwhelming yes. And so they took that information, and with that information, they did the exact opposite. They took out everything that everybody loved. They took out the ability to walk around third person as a pirate. They took away the ability to manage your ship and walk around it and all that stuff. And they turned it into just a weird little ship simulator thing. And yeah, they learned the wrong lessons, and they do it every time. The weird thing is that we had outlets actually get a 30-minute presentation for this game. So it was rumored.
Do we have access to that?
No,
or is
not
that
yet.
Private?
Right now, we do not have access to it. So it was rumored to release, to have some big drop premiere today. They didn't do it, and instead, select outlets got to see it. So I guess they technically, the leak was right in that there was going to be this big drop, but we didn't get to see it. This, I'm sure, will be comforting to some people. It's not comforting to me. Basically, they said that there was this 30-minute presentation, there was a lot of new stuff, and it looked great, and everybody was happy. But this is the thing that gets me on this. So on this news story from Insider Gaming, they said, while we won't spoil what the game has in store, we can say it's been completely reworked with a bunch of new content and updates, and honestly, it looks awesome. So far, all good. Sounds great. Fantastic. But one thing was made clear. Despite the rumors and rumblings, Black Flag Resynced is not an RPG. This remains a solo adventure and character-driven experience. It is not an RPG. That is what the presentation said, in quote, was that it was not an RPG. We were never concerned that it was going to be an RPG. None of it's ever been an RPG. We have never had an Assassin's Creed RPG. Our concern was RPG-like elements within Assassin's Creed. So them just saying that it's not an RPG does not give me any confidence. I still fear that we're going to get the hitbox combat system that's going to be dependent on your leveling and your positioning and all of this stuff, and that we're going to have the level system. So the fact them saying it's not an RPG, I'm sure there'll be some people that will wave that flag and count that as a victory. I'm not convinced.
Obviously, I'm a Navy guy, so I like the ocean, and I kind of like the idea of commanding my own ship. It didn't always go good, but honestly, the open world, the amount of options, you're not driven in one specific area. You get the choice to do kind of what you want, upgrade what you
Yeah.
want. Your character, you get to develop them in your own way. I guess my biggest question: was it asked that they're doing this? Is it a big demand?
So everybody was very excited to have it. Everybody wanted it. But this is the problem. Like we said, like Ubisoft always learns the wrong lessons. So we had this big demand. Everybody was always like, man, what if we got Black Flag, but we got to have it on these way more powerful systems, all these advantages. And so Ubisoft was like, okay, cool, we can do that. And then the rumor was that they were like, we will do that with all the stuff that you hate about the current Assassin's Creed games, which is the level system, things like that. So before, there was no level system. There, you didn't have like, oh, I picked up a sword. Okay, this one's a level 8. This one's a level 6. I guess that one's dead to me. I guess I'll carry this one until I get a better one. That didn't exist whenever the first Black Flag came out. Or the same thing with like the hood. Oh, this hood's a level 10. Let me ditch this level 6. So the demand was certainly there. I just don't think that Ubisoft read the room, or at least that's not what the rumors indicated. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe they did. I'd be shocked if they did. But so yeah, there was a demand. We're just nervous about the execution.
I'm looking forward to it regardless. I just hope it's what we think it's going to be.
I hope it's what I want it to be, because of what I think it's
Yeah.
going to be is a disappointment. I hope it's not what I think it's going to be.
The leveling system you mentioned, like that was an aspect that I liked. There wasn't like, oh, I need to be a level 6 to go
Yeah.
fight with this guy or do this. Or I like the open world about it. I don't want really limitations. And then I heard there was issues with the combat and how it kind of flowed. Is there any word if they're changing that, or
that's our concern? That is our concern. That is one of our primary concerns. So the combat system that they used in Black Flag and all of the previous Assassin's game before Black Flag was what's called a paired animation system. So they have this thing where it's like, okay, they can load in. We saw some crazy stuff with the paired animation system once they got into like Assassin's Creed Syndicate and stuff like that. But it's basically, if you're doing an attack and they're doing an attack, or they're doing an attack and you are hitting block, and it notices all these different variables, it just pairs that into an animation. What that allows it to do is it gives you a way more cinematic feel to the fights. You get all the swashbuckling. It can kind of do some of the sort of, ting, ting, ting stuff with the swords, and it looks really cinematic. It looks like Pirates of the Caribbean or something. And then after, like, in the later games, like after like Syndicate and those, the later games picked up this hitbox system where now, instead of this paired animation system where it really blends all this stuff and makes it feel really cinematic, it's, you have essentially a block with a skin on it in front of you, and you swing, you can miss, they can block. If they block, it just kind of like does nothing. The parries, the really intricate parries are gone. And that was one of the things that we were afraid of. So that's one of the biggies whenever it comes to this, is we don't know what we're going to get. And our suspicion is it's going to be this hitbox as opposed to what it originally had, which was a paired animation combat system.
Well, do you think it would have been better for them to just make a whole new game around the concept? Or do you like the idea that they're revamping better?
What I hope,
Great question.
What I hope is that something like this would actually, if they do it right, that it would revive the interest in it, just like the first one did. Whenever they're like, "Hey, do you want more?" and everybody was like, "Hell yeah!" and they're like, "Well, here." And then we got Skull and Bones. Hopefully, this time they could do it, and then people would get excited about it, and then we could get more in that direction again. Hopefully, maybe they'd listen. I don't know. And that's not all. We do have another layer to this, and that is the concept that we talked about before, where the rumor had been that, which, again, Jay and I were totally on board with, and that is they would be removing the modern day aspect of the game. There was no more Animus. You weren't going to be in the Animus. You don't have to do any walking simulator stuff in the modern day. And that in exchange for that they were going to be restoring some content that they previously had not finished. Famously with Mary Read was like the big one that they wanted to do more. They ran out of time. They weren't able to do it.
Yeah.
Now there's two things here. let me make sure I read this. I'll try to read this verbatim without trying to correct any of it. It was a leak from Indonesia. However, the thing there is like apparently their plurals in the Indonesian language is a bit different. So whenever you do like a Google Translate, the plurals can throw you off. So maybe something sounds plural via the translation, but it's not. So here's the thing. This is what we get from the leak that came out of an Indonesian site. So it was this title breathes new life into a fan favorite while remaining carefully faithful to the spirit of the original. It follows the story of charismatic pirate and assassin Edward Kenway as he adventures through 18th century Caribbean with parkours in cities and battles at seas in search of fortune and glory. Modernized in 2026, the new game includes a cast of new characters and stories. Some of that could be some translation, but over here, whenever from Insider Gaming, they do mention that it has been completely reworked with a bunch of new content and updates. So, will we get new characters, entirely new story arcs?
Well, I mean, it's a historical fiction game. How many new characters can you really add?
Well, they don't
'Cause-
have to be historical
Yeah.
figures. They could just be fake people that they threw in there, like a
That's-
Dwale.
I mean, I get it, but you already had Blackbeard and Charles Vane and Horn of Gold and all the classic. You wonder what else they can add, and also don't take away some of those quests that we had before because they were stellar.
So they keep mentioning they're going to modernize it. That makes me very curious. That's a dangerous territory these days. I wonder what that means to them. You know,
Exactly. That's the thing where it's like what we would love is to see updated graphics and all that, but again, all the rumors before were that they were taking all these modern mechanics that we don't want. Like we just want it to look even prettier. However, like we've said, the original, the OG still looks great. If you want to, if you're watching right now and you haven't played it, you can still go play it and have a fantastic time. It still looks incredible.
Yeah.
In fact, I just had a viewer watch our piece on it earlier this week and say that they just started it and it still looks incredible. And I'll tell you another thing that sticks out to me, could be nothing, could be cause for concern. So the same way that I don't like to hear reimagine whenever we talk about new properties, new projects, whatever, whether it's games, film, TV, whatever. They used a phrase that gives me pause. So in this description, they said, while remaining carefully faithful to the spirit of the original. They didn't say, hey, we're
The
remaining
original.
faithful to the original game. They said, we're remaining faithful to the spirit of the original game. I think that we might have different opinions on what the spirit of the original
Oh,
game
I'm
is.
sure we do.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's concerning territory as well.
So I still have all of the same concerns that I have previously had. All this new information, all these new details doesn't make me feel any better. I have no more confidence whatsoever. However, supposedly now they have delayed the release of this additional information by a week. So hopefully that holds true. And next week we will have been able to see something and we will know whether our fears are founded or not. I'm just
Yeah.
nervous. I'm just
Yeah.
nervous.
They threw around so many words that have so many different meanings to different people.
It's a fair point.
Probably intentionally as well.
Exactly. It's kind of nerve wracking. It gets you excited about it. Now, the danger in that is if you release it and it's horrible, it's such a letdown. But if they release it and it's amazing, it's a huge deal. So I really, really hope it's the better half of the two and it exceeds our expectations. Because I know I'm going to be playing it. I do like Assassin's Creed. It's one of the few games that I've put a few hours into. I'm hoping for the best. I'll just say that.
I agree. And that's a good point also. It's simultaneously the best and worst time for Ubisoft to be taking this chance. Like, on one hand, the most recent Assassin's Creed entries, they've just gone down and down and down in fan reaction and quality, and we've been more and more turned off by the things that they're adding onto it, the level system and all these things. So, one, if you just put out an Assassin's Creed project, the expectations are pretty low right now. So if you say, hey, we're doing an Assassin's Creed game, boom, expectations are on the floor. And then all you got to do, you don't even have to make a great game. You can just outperform those expectations, and people will, hey, all right, that's not too bad. On the other hand, the absolute favorite entry, uh, anytime it's voted on in the entire series, is Black Flag, and they've already screwed it up once whenever they had this opportunity. So that's also the biggest risk, is that it is the most popular one. They already screwed up an opportunity before. Will they screw that same opportunity up twice? I don't know. So it could go catastrophically one way or the other.
I'm hoping for the best for this, and I'm trying to stay optimistic. Yeah, I have the same concerns that both of you two do, but still, again, I want to be optimistic about this.
I remain skeptical and
Cautious.
afraid. Yes, I'm not even cautious. I'm concerned. I am concerned.
Yeah.
I must leave you adieu.